as a new topic or next topic in the basics of computer systems and programming. We will learn today about operating system. So even this operating system subject is taught in computer science in fourth semester, but here itself it is required because any kind of compiler or any kind of software application cannot run successfully if operating system is not supporting. So operating system is the very essential part to start a system, a PC. Operating system can be called as a soul, आत्मा है systems की, क्योंकि जैसे हार्डवेयर है हमारा वो बॉडी है, तो उसका सॉफ्टवेयर उसकी आत्मा है, उस सॉफ्टवेयर में ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट है, राइट. तो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम एक तरह से एक इंटरमीडिएट पर्सन और इंटरमीडिएट थिंग का रोल प्ले करता है किसके बीच में, कंप्यूटर सॉफ्टवेयर और कंप्यूटर हार्डवेयर के बीच में. कंप्यूटर हार्डवेयर और कंप्यूटर सॉफ्टवेयर के साथ साथ यूजर के साथ इंटरेक्ट कराने में, राइट. सो पीसी के साथ यूजर इंटरेक्ट तभी कर पाएगा जब उस पीसी पर सॉफ्टवेयर हार्डवेयर दोनों हैंड इन हैंड इंस्टॉल्ड होंगे और ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम वहां पर होगा. सो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम की एक प्रैक्टिकल डेफिनेशन है, बट this is a practical definition, right? Later on, analogical definition will also given. The purpose of operating system is to provide an environment in which a user can execute programs in a convenient and efficient manner. Because whatever program you will write, you will enter program using keyboard. Keyboard is a device. You can see your program in monitor. After execution, your program result will be shown in monitor if it is successfully executed, otherwise error will be shown. So monitor is again a hardware device. So keyboard and monitor, both devices are controlled by operating system. If operating system is not performing perfectly, then these devices are not controlled, they will never respond correctly, right? So each device has its device driver program, and device driver programs are installed while installation of operating system. So operating system is actually a software which controls or operates the hardware of computer, right? So this is one more correct definition. Hardware of device, CPU, memory, IO devices, these are all hardware which we can touch and feel. Software or devices are various packages for applications in compilers, others, information, data, email, antivirus software, firewall, every kind of software is a software. Then this is one more analogical definition. We are presenting here an analogy, but this is not actually a definition. So in theory, whenever anybody asks you about operating system, what is the definition of operating system, so you should tell above definitions, like these underlined definitions, right? These are the underlined definitions. These are the perfect definitions. But if you want to elaborate your definition and you want to compare it with real world, then you can compare operating system in a democratic republic. Operating system is just like a government, right? हमारे मंत्री होते हैं, प्रधानमंत्री, मुख्यमंत्री, शिक्षा मंत्री, जितने भी हमारे एजुकेशन मिनिस्टर, फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर, जितने भी टेक्निकल मिनिस्टर, जितने भी हमारे पास मंत्री हैं, ये सब मंत्री मिनिस्टर्स हैं, दे आर नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग. वो कुछ नहीं करते हैं. तो वो करते क्या है, उनके अंडर में भी है वेरियस IAS, PCS, IRS, वेरियस ऑफिसर्स आर देयर, राइट, जो एक्चुअली में टास्क परफॉर्म करते हैं, और उनकी टीम होती है उन ऑफिसर्स की. फिर वर्कर्स, एम्प्लॉइज और क्लास लेवल 2 ऑफिसर, लेवल 3 ऑफिसर्स आर देयर एंड वर्कर्स आर देयर. तो मंत्री लोग क्या करते हैं, मंत्री लोग सरकार की तरह से हैं जो माहौल बनाते हैं काम करने का, और उसमें सरकार चुनकर आती है पब्लिक से, राइट. तो वो माहौल बनाते हैं और उस माहौल में फिर बाकी ऑफिसर्स वर्क करते हैं. तो खुद वो कोई काम नहीं करता ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, right? It provides only an environment within which other programs can do useful work. तो आप जान सकते हैं, आप इसको अच्छे समझ गए होंगे कि अब ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम क्या करता है. ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम एक तरह का इन्वायरमेंट, माहौल या एक सराउंडिंग जनरेट करके देता है जिसमें कोई डिवाइस काम करे, जैसे कीबोर्ड काम करे, हार्डवेयर, माउस, या योर अदर things like browser application and various other things can work perfectly. So operating system एक environment generate करता है, right? But operating system खुद क्या है, operating system खुद एक software है. And I have while defining different type of softwares in previous class, system software, utility software, application software, this is a system software. that communicates with the hardware and allows other programs to run. It has fundamental files your computer needs to boot up and function. Every desktop computer, tablet, smartphone includes an operating system that provides basic functionality for the device. So operating system सब में होते हैं, almost every device has operating system. Few operating systems are called as real-time operating system and few operating systems are called as general purpose operating system. तो जो हमारा पीसी या हमारा लैपटॉप या इस तरह से कोई भी डिवाइस है, तो ये जनरल पर्पस ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है, क्योंकि इसमें हम बहुत सारे टास्क परफॉर्म करते हैं. और रियल टाइम ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम हो गया अगर हम किसी एक पर्टिकुलर डिवाइस को एक पर्टिकुलर फंक्शन के लिए जनरेट कर रहे हैं, तो वो हमारा रियल टाइम ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है. और वो उसमें टाइम बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि जितने टाइम में उसको वर्क करना चाहिए वो उतने में ही काम करे, क्योंकि वो ह्यूमन लाइफ से रिलेटेड हो सकता है, राइट. और फंक्शन या फाइनेंस से रिलेटेड हो सकता है, स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में लगा हो सकता है, या मेडिकल इक्विपमेंट्स में लगा हो सकता है वो ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम. तो वो फंक्शनिंग मशीन की उसी समय में हो जितने में उसको करनी है, अदरवाइज बहुत बड़ा लॉस हो सकता है, राइट. तो वो होते हैं रियल टाइम ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम जो एप्लीकेशन स्पेसिफिक होते हैं, करेक्ट. और ये जनरल पर्पस ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम्स हैं जो हम प्रोग्रामिंग, जिसमें हम किसी भी तरह का कंपाइलर इंस्टॉल कर सकते हैं, किसी भी लैंग्वेज का, और भी किसी तरह का सॉफ्टवेयर इंस्टॉल कर सकते हैं, बहुत सारे काम कर सकते हैं. वो जनरल पर्पस ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम होता है. तो यहाँ पर हम जिसकी बात कर रहे हैं वो जनरल पर्पस ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम है. तो देर आर वेरियस एग्जांपल्स, एमएस डॉस, विंडोज 95, विंडोज 2000, विंडोज एक्सपी, विंडोज 8, विंडोज 10 आ गई है, आगे यूनिक्स, लाइनेक्स, एंड्रॉयड, बहुत सारे ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम्स एग्जिस्ट करते हैं. अर्लियर देयर वर ओनली टू ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम, विंडोज एंड लाइनेक्स, बट ड्यू टू discovery of Android operating system, we are much more efficiently doing things. So there are various important functions of operating system. To perform various tasks, operating system is kind of manager. So what is the duty of manager? Manager does management. Things must be perfectly available so that they can be utilized. This is a management kind of thing. So here also, if you are working with memory, then operating system has done memory management. So all type of memories will be covered by operating system: hard disk, RAM, cache memory, USB drive, any kind of device that can be attached or that is already embedded under the PCB, that is handled by memory management. Then next is process management, various kind of programs in execution called as process. Device management, hardware devices are under this picture. File management, various informations are stored within different files and folders. They are handled by operating systems. Security management, various antivirus programs or internal inherent security management is also there. Some data loss should not be done, right? Some unintentional approach to some important files, they are responsible for doing something very important on behalf of operating system, should be safe and secure, right? This is also duty of operating system. Control over system performance. The performance of the system should work properly. System means computer, right? Digital computer, personal computer, and various other kind of things are also there. Job accounting, scheduling, right? Error detecting aids, coordination between other softwares and other software and users, right? All these things are being handled by operating system. So these are various important functions. And when you will learn this subject, then these were different chapters in the subject of operating system. There will be one complete chapter with memory management where you have virtual memory, hard disk scheduling is a different management. Disk scheduling management is other thing, right? So memory management is generally related to RAM. So these are different chapters in operating system when we learn a subject like operating system. But here we should know the basics, role of operating system and how it helps us while programming. But in general, we are looking at here. So these are two diagrams. You should prepare both diagrams to understand or to make your understanding better about operating system. Suppose this elliptical diagram is very much interesting and it gives better knowledge of operating system. So this is application software. Various things are written over here in green, right? These are application softwares. Then in magenta or pink, you can say these are system software, right? And in gray, it is the innermost part is hardware. So every software wants to access some hardware, only then its effect will be shown. If software is running but no hardware is affected, then you can't see any changes, anything that is responded by hardware. So that hardware response must come if request is being sent by application software. So this system software or operating system or utility softwares are in between, right? These are operating system, they are existing in between. These are utilities. This word is actually utility over here. Then this pink or magenta layer, or you can say ellipse, is the most important part because it is connecting that green elliptical shape to the gray elliptical shape. That means application software is connected with hardware with the help of operating system, that is system software. Because application softwares are installed with operating system and device driver programs of these hardware devices are installed with operating system, within operating system, right? So whenever any application is started or you are using internet browser, so you want that internet browser should be opened on screen monitor. Monitor is a hardware, right? So whenever you will press any key, so keyboard is a hardware, and that application software should be connected with that hardware at that time so that you can see your result immediately. So this connection is done with this layer, ink layer, system software. Similarly, same thing is written over here also. User is at the topmost level, right? User is using application, placed some request, application places that request to operating system evaluates that request, and accordingly it invokes hardware for correct response, and that response is given by hardware to operating system, and operating system forwards it to application. Then user can observe that response. In that way, this is the two-way communication happens, right? One way is from user to application to operating system to hardware. Another way is from hardware to operating system to application to user. So this is all about operating system basics. Now we will see different type of operating system. As I have told you, there are various operating systems. Few earlier operating systems are also written over here. They are no more available now. They are outdated. Like first one, batch operating system. Batch operating system do not interact with the computer directly. Each user prepares his job on an offline device like punch cards. Punch card is actually a hardware device in which some circuitry is written, and that is hard bound. That means circuitry is fused by doing some soldering and some semiconductor material and submits it to computer operator. Main problems are lack of interaction between user and job. Right? CPU is idle often. So once you have submitted a job, some system will start working. So this was used actually in ancient time. In 1960, 70, it was used, right? Up to 80, you can say. Then after that, operating system has been evolved when Windows came into picture, and we have so much revolution was faced, right? Then next is real-time operating system is multitasking operating system that aims at executing real-time application, right? Real-time operating systems often use specialized scheduling algorithms so that we can perform multiple tasks simultaneously. The main task objective of real time is quick and predictable response of events. They have an event-driven or time-sharing design. EXDX works, Mars, RT Linux. But one more thing is that real-time operating system is time-bound, right? In our PCs, whenever we execute a program, whether program is being executed in milliseconds or it takes 1 or 2 days, we are not worried. Right? This is not a question of life and death. So there is no time bound. Okay. But in real time operating system, they are time bound operating systems. If time is exceeded or some delay is happening, definitely a big loss will be there. Right? So real-time operating system are time-bound. Again, there are various further divisions for real-time operating systems like soft real-time and hard real-time, and there is some threshold limits. Time has some threshold limits for the soft real-time, but hard real-time there is no limit. Right? Similarly, other operating systems are multi-user operating system. multi-user operating system allows multiple users to access a computer system at the same time. So time sharing systems are there. Internet servers can be classified as multi-user system. Single operating system have only one user, but may allow multiple programs to run. Right. So a multi-user operating system in which there is one server and other are workstations. Generally, we call them workstations. So server has all the facility like a big memory, higher speed of execution, cycle speed is very high, it hertz, and all these things are with server only. Workstations are only capable of doing some small memory-based calculations. And if large calculation or large programming memory requirement is there, then it requests server to provide them. So multi-users can work in this case, right? Even we can connect various Windows systems or various Linux systems by LAN to create a multi-user scenario. But multi-users are generally with the help of supercomputer or mainframe or Unix, we create multi-user operating systems where multiple users can work on a single operating system or on one operating system at the same time. So these are time-sharing systems, right? Then one more approach is the distributed operating system. Distributed operating systems manages a group of independent computers and make them appear to be a single computer. The development of network computers that could be linked and communicate with each other gave rise to distributed computing. Distributed computations are carried out on more than one machine. When computers in a group work in cooperation, they make a distributed system. In distributed systems, generally individual systems are also having their own hard disk, but a main computer or server will have more shareable database. Like we have created one database server, one proxy server, and one another server, right? So these file server, suppose. So these three servers are connected with various other systems. So various other systems are also having their own memory, their own hard disk, their own facility. But for in large scale, if they want to access any file, then file server will support them. Right? So distributed task is being distributed among various clients, or you can say various individually existing systems. These are distributed operating system. Now we have few differences between Linux and Windows operating system. Linux is open source or freeware, or you can download it, right? But Windows, you have to purchase it. Its licensed version comes. Right? We are using pirated one, but actually Windows is proprietary from Microsoft. But Linux is open to all. Freeware it is. Inventor Linus Torvalds, 1991. Windows, 1992. Application Linux has less applications, but now this scenario has been changed a little bit because these nodes are quite old and Windows have more applications. Right? Cost, really available, it is costly. Security, Linux have high security, it never creates registry keys, but Windows has low security. Various loopholes related to security are there with Windows. Boot from either primary or logical partition, must boot from primary partition only. This is a booting. Booting is when you switch on the system and system is being prepared, all the devices are checked whether they are properly connected and ready to be used, right? And this time is called as booting. When so the time difference between you have switched on your PC and now the time has appeared when you are actually working on that PC. In between there is a delay that is called booting. Case sensitivity, file name are case sensitive, file names are not case sensitive in general. Reliability, more reliable. Even this case sensitivity has been appeared in Windows also now. More reliable, has better backup concept. Windows are less reliable, more virus prone, right? But Linux are less virus prone. Popularity, Linux based operating systems are less popular. What is the reason? Reason is less prepared graphical user interface because it is command oriented or command based. But Windows operating systems are GUI. Okay, so DOS commands, internal commands to rename a old file, new file, copy source file, space target file, copy command, right? Creating a file, copy on target file, then display content of a file type, then target file, delete, del command. So these are few commands. You should prepare any three or four commands, any three commands, internal commands and any three external commands. External commands related to from one system to another system, one disk to another. The volume label of disk label says they are quite old commands and they are out of use, but still AKTU exam paper asks sometimes what are different DOS commands, so you should go through them once, and that is okay. No more explanation has been asked earlier, but this time in MCQ you should prepare them and you should see them once so that you can remember them, and whenever there is any choice based question, you can take correct answer. Then few Linux based commands. First command is ls. Command is used to list all the files in the current working directory. rm, remove the file. rm, $rm file name, $ls, rmdir, remove directory, rm directory name, cat, content auto file, displayed by this, right? cd, change directory, cd, mb, move, it used to move the content from source file to designation file, who, this command displays the user who are currently logged on, right? So all these are the different commands that I have selected for you. Now next thing I will discuss is related to the algorithm. Let's see where I have written. One more thing is that programming languages, application of C programming, I have already told you. This is programming language chart, different type of programming languages I have collected here, right? High level and low level. Low level have machine dependent, machine language, assembly language, and these are the procedural, non-procedural, and problem-oriented. So procedural are algorithmic, Fortran, COBOL, C, object-oriented, C++, Java, C Sharp, even Python is also added over here. Scripting, VB, Perl, JavaScript. So Python can be written over here also. So Python can enter in in all the procedural types, in algorithmic, object-oriented scripting, in functional, list processing, ML, meta language, logical, Prolog, programming logic. Generally, artificial intelligence based basic programming is done in Prolog. More advanced programming is done in numerical based MATLAB, Matrix Laboratory, Symboli, Mathematica. Publishing purpose, we have LaTeX. So these are all programming languages that we have to use in our journey of computer science and engineering. Sometimes and sometimes only selected ones, right? Next thing that I have to discuss with you is algorithm. The fundamental knowledge needed to solve problems using a computer is the notion of algorithm. So what is algorithm actually? Algorithm is the stepwise set of instructions to solve a problem. Even we can say that to prepare Maggie or to cook Maggie, we have 2-minute noodles, and on the wrapper of Maggie, you can see there are written steps. First step, put your bowl or put your vessel on gas, right? Gas stove, then put on gas, right? Then fill some water, let it be boiled, then add Maggie from your wrapper, right? Then add some other things, given spices, given, then prepare and let it be cooked for 2 or 3 minutes, and then it is okay. So these are various steps to do anything, right? So here also we are here doing trying to solve a particular problem, whether this problem is mathematical, numerical, or logical, or anything else that we want to solve through computer, and programming will help. So there are some steps. First step, this will be done. Second step, third step, fourth step. So this stepwise instruction set is called as algorithm. And algorithm is independent of any language. If you are trying to calculate factorial of a given number, whether your program is to be written in C language or C++ language or Python or Java or any language, right? Algorithm will be common for all, because algorithm is written in general English and it is independent of any language, right? So algorithm and data structure is important subject, and it measures skill of a computer scientist or computer science and engineering graduate. So you must prepare algorithms very well. Okay. Then after that, whenever you will learn syntax or rules of any language, you have to apply that algorithm. You have to translate that algorithm in those syntaxes, right? In those rules in a particular language, so that it can be compiled and interpreted, or result will be shown correctly. So algorithm is a precise specification of a sequence of instructions, tells what task is to be executed to be carried out in order to solve a given problem. Features of a good algorithm. Features are there. These are the four main features. The first feature is finiteness. So an algorithm must terminate after a finite number of steps, and further each step must be executable in finite amount of time, right? तो ऐसा नहीं होगा एल्गोरिथम में इतने सारे स्टेप्स हैं कि वो एल्गोरिथम खत्म ही नहीं हो रही है, या उसका एक स्टेप इतना बड़ा है कि वो खुद ही नहीं खत्म हो रहा, हम अगले स्टेप तक जा ही नहीं पा रहे, देन दिस विल नॉट बी अ गुड एल्गोरिथम, राइट? तो गुड एल्गोरिथम मस्ट हैव फाइनाइटनेस, टाइम की एक लिमिट होनी चाहिए इसमें पूरी एल्गोरिथम इवेलुएट हो, और उसमें नंबर ऑफ स्टेप्स फाइनाइट हो, राइट? दोनों चीजें। देन सेकंड थिंग इज डेफिनेटनेस। हर एक स्टेप एल्गोरिथम का उसमें कोई एम्बिग्यूटी नहीं होती, डुअल मीनिंग नहीं निकल के आना चाहिए, जिससे कंपाइलर बाद में जब उसको प्रोग्राम में कन्वर्ट करे तो कंपाइलर कंफ्यूज हो जाए। सो एल्गोरिथम में पहले ही हमें क्लैरिटी ऑफ स्टेप होनी चाहिए, राइट? So each step of algorithm must be precisely defined. The actions to be carried out must be rigorously and unambiguously specified for each case. Okay. Then next thing is inputs or outputs. An algorithm has zero or more, but only finite number of inputs and at least one output. So inputs and outputs, right? These are equivalent to a numerical example. What is given and what is we have to find out. Similarly, in each algorithm, what are the inputs and what is the output? Suppose you want to print hello world, then whatever you have written in printf, hello world is the input, and output will be displaying, right? So here you have not, in this hello world, explicitly you have not created any input. Whatever is written inside the program, it is indirectly working like an input. So you can say that input can be zero, but output cannot be zero, because if output will be zero, then you cannot identify correctness of your program. If you have written printf hello world and nothing is printed on screen, then how will you identify? And no error is also there. How will you identify whether your program has worked correctly, compiler is working perfectly or not? So output must be there. At least one output must be there. Inputs may be explicitly given or may not be. So zero input can be there, but output must be there, right? Then next is effectiveness or efficient. An algorithm should be effective. This means that each of the operation to be performed in algorithm must be sufficiently basic that it can be done exactly and in a finite length of time. So if you have divided your task in number of steps, then further division should not be possible. Each instruction should be complete in itself, right? You should not combine two or three tasks inside one instruction only. एक ही इंस्ट्रक्शन में कई सारे काम ना लिखें, जिससे कि एल्गोरिथम की कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी बढ़ जाएगी और उसको उसमें अंदर रीडेबिलिटी रिमूव हो जाएगी, राइटेबिलिटी तो बढ़ गई कि आपने लाइन ऑफ या स्टेप्स कम कर दिए, 10 स्टेप के एल्गोरिथम से आपने 4 स्टेप में कर दिए, लेकिन वो जो 2-3 स्टेप्स आपने गायब करके और बीच में किसी एक स्टेप में मर्ज कर दिए होंगे, तो वो स्टेप अपने आप में थोड़ा कम क्लियर रह गया होगा, है ना? और वो बेसिक नहीं होगा, इसलिए हर स्टेप अपने आप में बेसिक होना चाहिए और फाइनाइट लेंथ में काम करना चाहिए। अब इतना भी ज़्यादा डिवाइड ना कर दें कि हर स्टेप में इतना छोटा टास्क करा रहे हैं कि आराम से जो 3 स्टेप का टास्क एक में हो सकता था उसको ज़बरदस्ती 3 स्टेप्स में डिवाइड कर दिया, तो उसकी एफिशिएंसी बनी रहे, कुछ स्टेप्स को इस तरह से डिवाइड करें, राइट? So this is all about algorithm. Now we will see few examples of algorithm. So I'm sharing this screen with all of you. Right? If the screen is not visible, please inform me. Write an algorithm to add two numbers entered by user. So first task is to read this carefully and identify what is given and what is asked, right, to solve a problem, because you have to actually create number of steps, and after last step you should get your answer. So here write an algorithm to add two numbers. So two numbers are being added. That means we should have two numbers. So two numbers are the inputs, right? And add, that means summation result is output. So accordingly, we will start our algorithm. So first step will be start, last step will be stop or end. Then declare variables. So inputs and outputs we have identified. We have created variables for the same. So two inputs, num1, num2, and sum is the output. Whenever result will appear, we have to store it. And what are the numbers we are going to add? They will be stored in these num1 and num2. Then second is read input values num1 and num2. So first you have defined that these are inputs, this is output. Now actually what values you have stored in num1 and num2 in step 3. Then you have to perform addition and store it in result variable sum. This is sum num1 plus num2. So whatever you are going to do is written in English in explanation way, right? Quite nicely explained. This is algorithm. And if you are doing it in a symbolic representation, it will be a pseudocode. We will see it later. Right? Then in first step, you are displaying that result you have obtained in step 4 and then stop. So these are the all steps you have obtained for a particular algorithm to add two numbers. Right? If you want to discuss flowchart also, so what is a flowchart? Flowchart is a diagrammatical representation, or you can say pictorial representation of an algorithm, or you can say solution, stepwise solution is represented in picture form, right? So you can again see my PDF. Flowchart is developed for showing the steps involved in a process. Flowchart is a diagram made up of few symbolic pictures like boxes, diamonds, other shapes. Few shapes will be there in flowchart, and they all will be connected by arrow. So arrow will show you the direction of flow. What is flowing? Data is flowing, or control is flowing, transferred from one place to another. Data is transferred from one place to another. So this is actually done by a particular arrow, right? Flowchart combines symbols and flow line to show the operation of an algorithm in a figure. So some flow charting algorithm symbols are like this. Elliptical shape symbol or ellipse is used for representing start or end of any algorithm. This oval shape or ellipse, right? Then arrow is for representing the flow or connection between two shapes. And this is a parallelogram, right? Parallelogram is for input or output, the kind of operations. Rectangle is for evaluation of any expression process, right? Diamond is for conditional representation, like decision. Diamond is for decision, conditional step. So now all these symbols, almost all these symbols I have told you. Few more symbols are there. We will learn them. Now again we will go to our PPT. So this is the flow chart of addition of two numbers. As in the algorithm, we have written first step was start, second was declaring input and output, third is actual values are inserted in variables that we want to add. Then in third step, this is the rectangular processing is done here. This is input output. So input is here in parallelogram, then displaying sum is output in parallelogram and stop. So this is the whole flow chart in which each shape is representing which kind of statement it will have in general, right? And flow is moving from start to stop. This is the simplest way of representing a algorithm in a flowchart. Write an algorithm to find the largest among the three numbers. So first we have to start, declare three variables, read three variables. That means values are inserted. Read means you are writing to keyboard, computer is reading. So this third step is reading for computer perspective. Compare A and B. So at a time you have to compare two, and the result of that comparison will be compared with the third one. If A is greater than B, then compare A and C. If A is greater than C, display A is largest. Otherwise, A is greater than B, but A is less than C, then C is largest. And this, otherwise, if B is greater than A, from outer if we are comparing this. If A is greater than B, then we have to do all these things. But otherwise, if B is greater than A, then again B will compare it with C. And if B is still greater, then B is largest. Otherwise, C is largest, and stop. So this is the comparison of three variables and the largest is found in this way, in the algorithmic way, and the flow chart for the same. Start, read ABC, compare, any two can compare A with B or B with C or A with C. We have can start with, right? So there will be two results. Either this condition will be true, then we will go to this branch for yes part. If this is false, we will go to this branch for no part. So here we are comparing with the third one, then printing the result. If it is false, then printing the result. Similarly, here also we are comparing B with C. If it is true, printing the result, B as largest, false, then C is largest. So this is the flow chart of comparison of three numbers, right? Then algorithm for quadratic equation, ax square plus bx plus c. So first of all, we have to declare all the variables, all the coefficients, right? And along with all the variables required. So a, b, c are the coefficients. D is the discriminant. We have to calculate. R1, R2 are the roots, real and imaginary for complex roots representation. So calculate discriminant, right? Then test discriminant. If discriminant is greater than or equal to 0, then R1 and R2 are calculated. Otherwise, real part and imaginary parts are evaluated in this way, and they are represented also. Okay, x plus jb or x plus iy kind of thing, complex roots. Then next is, this is the flow chart for the same. This is the flow chart for the same. Whatever we have done in algorithm, in flow chart steps we can write, right? This is discriminant, calculation of discriminant. Even if roots are equal, then also we will calculate R1, R2, right? Then we will get same R1 and R2 because D is 0 at that time. So minus D upon 2 will be the result, right? If there it is negative, then we have to calculate imaginary part and real part separately and create our roots in this way. X1, it should be X2 here, right? Roots. Okay, R1 and R2, I should say. Factorial of a given number entered by user. Start, declare a variable of factorial, initialize factorial, read input values, and whose factorial is to be calculated. Repeat the steps, right? We are calculating factorial. Factorial is 5 factorial, 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So this is actually, here itself it is actually calculating like 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. Because every time I is incrementing and factorial is multiplied by incremented I, and factorial is initialized with value 1. I is also initialized with value 1. So actually this calculation of step 5, where the repetition of 2 steps has been done, is working in this way: 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5. So flow chart will be the same, factorial flow chart. So here you can see that this is a loop representation, right? So conditional diamond shape is still there as we have used in if. Here it is also here, but here after calculating factorial, it is again going to this conditional testing. If I is less than or equal to n, you are moving in this loop. If it is false, we are outside and print result. Okay. Factorial entered by another way of doing factorial. Right here, decrementation has been used. Every time we are decrementing the thing, right? Same thing is being represented over here. Okay. Then prime number representation. Okay. Flag prime number will be identified. And flow chart of prime number. Fibonacci series is there. So that's rest of the part I'll discuss in next class.